I'd like to call upon Carrie's high self, please.
This is them.
Fantastic. So can we do a body scan on the body and see what's happening for her at the moment?
Yes, we're scanning the body right now, and her stomach is grumbling a little bit, but we'll go ahead and clear that for her.
What's going on with the stomach for it to be grumbling?
It's part of her upgrade. Like she's activating something within. She's activating a connection with source, and she gets secondary symptoms through her stomach by doing that.
Oh, I see. Okay. So are you able to help her and upgrade her during this session as well?
Yes, we will provide those upgrades throughout this session.
Thank you. Can I ask, does she have any heavy metals in her body?
She does.
Can you tell me from what?
The heavy metals from the food that she's consumed, the like seafood that she's consumed has the heavy metals in it.
Are you able to release those into her system today so she can be detoxed from that?
Yes, we can, and she will need to drink a lot of water to help purge that.
How much water will she need to be able to help purge
that? It'll take a couple days, and we're showing her like 2 to 3 gallons over a couple days.
Okay, thank you. I know from previous clients that it can be pretty rough at detoxing, but well worth it. Can you just make sure she doesn't get too slammed with this detoxation?
Yes, and her other systems are pretty well aligned, so she won't be as affected. She will have a little bit of a rough time, but we're showing Carrie, we knew this conversation would come up, and we've actually helped her stomach kind of start purging earlier today. So we're already prepping her for that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so we are really curious if we can call upon a gentleman by the name of John McAfee. Is it possible to speak to him today?
Yes, and he really wants to come in. So yes, this is John.
Hello. So yes, I am very aware that you have made your presence felt very clearly. And we would love to be able to provide you free access to be able to share the information that you need to share with us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to come in. However, I mean, the other day you didn't ask, I came in, so I don't really need anyone's permission, but I'm coming in right now. And I did have a lot of information I wanted to share about what will be coming out in the future that I was able to collect. But do you have any specific questions that you want answered?
Well, first of all, thank you for coming in. We also know that part of the information that you have is because you were not invited into many computer systems. So you've always felt that you're welcome to enter in as you please, which has given you that connection of information. So, well, first of all, just for those people who are still confused, have you departed your body, or are you in a safekeeping somewhere?
Well, I am not in a safekeeping somewhere. I have left the body. My body is still in the presence of the government or the military. However, I am not encapsulated in that body. And yes, I did have the capabilities to go where I wanted, when I wanted in this lifetime.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. And so We are curious, what information did you want to share with us, and how hard was it to not be able to share this information publicly earlier?
So it was hard, but it also was not so hard in the fact that I liked my life and I like to live the life I wanted to. And having the knowledge and being a part of that knowledge and the reason why there were some crimes against humanity, I had to walk that fine balance between I really like to just party and I like to live my life, and I wanted to do it by my rules, and I knew if I were to disclose it, that then my world and my freedom that I had would be put inside a box. So I chose to, in a way, protect myself, protect some of the loved ones I have, and not disclosing it. However, I did have telling Carrie, this stupid fucking government, like they trusted me, I gave them I gave them laptops, I gave them information, saying it was, here, I want you to have this laptop, I want to protect you, and don't worry, I've got you, and they used my stuff, and you know what it gave me? It gave me a back door into all the information. I could live spy on them doing all kinds of things, just against the people of the world. And if people really like free things, and you would think, for being as far as they are, that they wouldn't have taken it, but they did. And so I have given, and like Carrie did understand that I had a dead man switch, and that dead man switch was activated. So now there are well over 1 terabytes of information, there are well over 100 people that have copies of this that are in key locations. That way, if they are killed or harmed in any way, that they have a dead man switch activated. And so I made a plan that when my life was done being living, like that, my days were numbered, and that the disclosure would happen, and no harm would really come to me because I was already dead.
What do you feel now that you are departed? What did you believe was going to happen, with life after death?
I kind of thought lights out, man, and nothing else would happen, right? Like, that was it. It was death. That's why I lived my life to the fullest while I was here. Right now, that is not the case. It is so much more infinite and beyond what I could have even imagined. And I'm here as an energy source right now, finishing up my contract and making sure that I'm sending protection to those that are going to step up and do the job I couldn't do while I was here on Earth.
How did you feel being responsible for this information?
Well, I mean, I wanted to do good, but I also realized I was not a good person. So it was, in the sense that how it would be portrayed. So, it's a hard thing. One could perceive it as being selfish, but I wasn't being selfish. I just was limited on information of what, like, the bigger picture of what I was meant to do. So part of my contract was collecting the information. And in order to be a collector of information, play the game by the game, if you will, is I had to be a part of the game. And then at some point it opened up my eyes to be like, man, I don't want to be a part of this stuff anymore. Like, this stuff is like, I'm not a bad guy. I just like to live my life. But like, these guys are shitty people, like I'm not the best of them, but like, I know them, that's for sure. So I then used the opportunity for my spyware to gain the information, knowing that I had a limited life and I was going to live it.
I see. Okay, thank you. And so, in terms of getting the information out prior, um, do were you able to get it out to the authorities? I mean, who could you trust, and how did you hope that this information could have been shared and understood?
I did not trust the authorities. I did trust a limited amount of people based on knowing what who was trying to take down the guys that I was so and so buddies with. So those guys I knew and I could trust. However, it was more or less a grassroots movement. It was people on the underground that I had connections with that I trusted, because those are the people that had nothing to gain except freedom, and they had everything to lose, and they fought for it, you know, putting it all on the line. So there was a huge grassroots movement of a civilian military, a militia, if you will, that I was able to trust. And there were certain people, key officials within militaries, that I knew I could trust because they were taking down the ones that were my friends, quote unquote friends, whatever you want to call them.
Okay, I understand. And so when you had that exit point, what happened? Was it a suicide?
Yes. I'm showing Carrie it was a suicide, that it was. I was getting information of what was going on, and I was seeing how so many people were just crying out for freedom. So many people were crying out for freedom. And I knew that my days were numbered anyways, man. And what a way to go, right? Like, knowing that that information would be dispensed upon my death. And so, yes, but it wasn't because I left sorrow for my life. It wasn't because I felt sorry for myself. It's because I knew that I held the key, and it was my time to stand in bravery. And this was my contract. This was my contract. My contract was to get the information out, and I chose to live a full life instead of honoring that contract. And so there was an opportunity to change my contract. And by me exiting this earth was that opportunity.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of being in that jail, or being held in Barcelona, is there any information that you want to share with us about that?
That I was held in that prison, but showing Carrie, uh, there were good people there that were giving me information. There were good people that were helping me. They were trying to protect me and not let me go in United States hands. And there were really good people there in that system. And not all people are flawed that are a part of these governmental systems. And before news was released of my death, the United States military was notified, and they actually came and took my body before the news was released.
And in terms of, okay, and so then, so no one helped you to exit?
Well, they gave me the stuff I needed.
I see. Okay, thank you. And so then that came was only to help take your body?
So we're showing, no, the plane, I knew they were coming for me. I knew they were coming for me.
If you hadn't have taken the exit point, what would that plane be capable of doing?
They were going to crash into the prison.
Who was aware of that?
There were whispers. There were lots of whispers, and the staff within the system were some of the grassroots movements. They passed on messages to me. We had a messaging system. We had a way of connecting. I got information in, and they got information out for me, and they knew it was coming. And I couldn't let that happen, man. I couldn't let it happen. And those were the conversations. That's what Carrie was unclear of earlier. Those were the conversations, was that it was on its way. It was on its way. And I made sure before it even got close that my exit point happened.
Okay, I understand. And can you tell me the connection between the building in Miami and that collapse just a few days after or a day after you exited? Well, is there any link to that?
They thought I had information there. They thought that I would be stupid enough to store it in some unsecured building in Miami. And there were neighbors that knew of, my comings and goings in that area. And they are like, we're showing like deep state is in such a freak out mode. Like, man, they're scared. They're running scared. Like they'll bomb anybody just in case. Right. And so there's no cover on the switch. Their hands just shaking above the switch and they're just hitting it left and right, like hoping that they can like scare people enough, or they thought if they would have demolished that they would have demolished my information. But man, I'm not that stupid that like I'm going to have information just sitting in a building like that. And they killed all these innocent people. But it is also an awakening for people. It's also an awakening. I mean, people, there's so much technology now that those cameras that showed it's a demo job. No one's going to believe it's because of global warming, like they're trying to pawn it off as. Come on, man. Like that narrative's wrong, And so it's for the awakening to see how scared the deep state is.
Yes, I think most people now feel like that experts at being able to distinguish a demolition job in a building.
Yeah, buildings don't ever collapse with a boom from the down, from below up. So, I mean, unfortunately, those are just a lot of exit points for people, but that was already pre-contracted, which I now know about these contracts. I've made enough of those contracts in my life. You think I would have thought there was a life contract, but I didn't.
Well, when you don't know about the afterlife, how could you possibly consider all of that spiritual woo-woo stuff? In terms of when you exited the body and you realized that you have more freedoms, what was one of the things that you did do that you can share with us when you realized you can now physically enter anything?
So, I mean, I felt like I had the back door to everyone with my spyware. And so I just went and explored. I just went and was like shooting my energy here and there. And like I'm showing Carrie like a ping pong, like it's just like bing, 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 like a pinball machine. I was just exploring it all because I thought this is the coolest thing ever. Like I am the software now, and it was fun. And I went and visited the ones I loved. I went saw those places I wish I would have saw. I mean, and I'm also helping protect the ones that are holding the information now. And I'm making sure to, be their eyes and the ears where I can be of best use now, given the knowledge I now have. And also, here on this realm.
Do you understand now that your information is going to be pretty pivotal for awakening most of humanity who are still asleep to the agendas?
Yes, they've already been reviewing it. They've been reviewing it the past 4 or 5 days. The media is aware. The media was a part of those briefings. The media was there. There's military, and it's about they're showing there's China, the information about China, money laundering, crimes against humanity, the human trafficking, the coup on the United States. There's all that information. They've been in a debriefing. All the top military and the mainstream media have been in a debriefing for the past 4 days. It's already coming, man.
Okay, thank you. From your perspective, what was the most hardest things to kind of wrap your brain around or accept? Um, what was the hardest information you had to deal with?
The kids. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Did you have any children of your own?
Yes. Although They never knew me as dad, but I did. And I may have done some stuff in my life, but that really hit home. And that they crossed the line so many times, but that was one they should have never crossed.
What was your motivation to get out of the public's view?
I liked my life. I wanted to try to take a step back in the public's view, to be not a face anymore, but just in the background, to see if I could find an opportunity there to release the information I had, and also to just live my life, because I knew my days were numbered in some way. And so either way, if I could get the information out, I would, but if not, at least I got to live my life the way I wanted to.
Thank you. In one of the books from Dolores Cannon, she was referring that the Antichrist will use the internet. And I'm curious now, from your perspective, what would you like us to know about that?
The internet's the connection to all. The internet's the biggest form of mind control that you've ever known. So if anyone wants to control your minds, the internet's the only place to do it.
So pretty safe to say you don't have a Facebook account then?
No, I don't have a Facebook account.
Okay. Not expecting a Facebook request from you. But all jokes aside, so how was it possible for you to live a life knowing all of the agendas? I mean, did you just isolate yourself? I mean, what could you feel really truly have inner peace as you were living? Or I want to understand how you could balance all this and know all this information.
Well, can any of you know? I mean, I don't know anyone knowing that I ran with that had true inner peace. I did, drugs and drinking and sex and all that stuff really does help you forget about what you've got in the back of your mind. It keeps you in kind of a presence in that moment of either being in the high or chasing the high. And so you're never in the past of the knowing if you're always kind of in that state of mind. And so for me, I just made resolution was that's how I wanted to live. And that's where I felt the best, because going in the past of what I knew wasn't sure as shit, not somewhere I wanted to go. And so that's how I coped. And that's how I lived. And that's what I thought was living until I became energy. And now I truly know what living is.
Oh, I'm glad that you've got that now. And I am curious, is there something that we haven't heard about or know about in terms of crimes against humanity or the broken systems? Is there something that you would like us to know? Not because we want to go into shock and fear and worry, but what else is going on that you want us to be aware of?
Well, I mean, except for that every system that you're a part of is a crime against humanity. Every part of your living is a crime against humanity. I don't even know where I could touch down on. I mean, every part of it. Here in America, we thought we were free people. There's nothing free about any of it. You guys have been living in a bubble, in a placebo. Every part of the construct of your daily lives is to keep you a prisoner. And so every time you make it, like every time you're given an opportunity to do anything, ask yourself, am I free now? Does this feel right? Start asking yourself questions. You're going to start to be unveiled a whole world of choices because you just wanted to feel happy. Happiness is within. Stop choosing to just feel comfortable in this skin just to make it, and start asking questions about every damn thing you're doing, because you're not free.
It seems like you have had some good time to reflect and heal yourself and have a bigger perspective now that you're in ghost land, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, there were parts of me that just were so wounded, and I just wanted to do anything to feel whole. And I realize now that that healing had to come from the best parts of this world, and from the source energy, and from light, from higher vibration, from all those things that, like, they talk about in those movements, those hippie movements, and all those yogis and stuff like that. They were right. They were right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm glad that you can get that. Have you had your life review, or are you going through it now? Or
I've semi gone through it, but right now the most important part is to finish through with my contract.
yeah. So, for those people who don't quite understand it, that means that you're still finishing your life mission by encouraging and inspiring and guiding those who have your information to be able to share it forward. And from you now being, shall we say, a superhero ghost helping humanity, you are able to do that.
Yes, yes, and protecting them. So I am the version of the software I created, but in a good way.
Well, great. Love that. By any chance, were you aware of other beings that were not humanoids or humans? Did you come across any information about extraterrestrials?
So yes, yes, the darker ones. I've seen some of those guys, and they scared the shit out of me.
Hmm.
But as far as, I mean, I've seen some information regarding some of the like the past extraterrestrials, if you will, like that have been confiscated by the government, that weren't bad, but I saw some crazy ass shit. You like they were some, some they looked pretty horrible.
Hmm.
Although now I know not all of them are horrible, but and when you're in the earth and you see stuff like that, it sure will it sure will haunt your dreams.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. In terms of your spiritual team, now when you're reflecting back, were they often there with you, prodding you and guiding you?
Yeah, those poor guys. Like I gave them a run for their money. But yeah, they were there, and I did listen. There were still parts of me. That's when I changed my tune, when I realized I didn't want to be a part of that stuff anymore. Um, we all have them. We all have these teams, and it's a choice whether you want to tune them out, numb them out, or connect with them. And when I did have connections with them, I was that's when I like cleaned up my act, and I realized this life was for me no longer, that type of life, that type of living.
Is that when your teams wanted you to start doing more disclosures?
They enlisted it in me to start laying the groundwork to get the information. At first I was just curious. I just wanted to see what the hell was going on. And then once I saw what was going on, I was like, the children, that was the tipping point for me. And that's when I started like crying out, like, this can't be true. This can't be true. I know it's corrupt, but this can't be true. And that's when I connected with them, and they wanted me to they wanted me to, but it was just so much. It was a lot of information. It was how do you tell a person? And I mean, I was already off the rails when it came to people either believed me or they didn't, right? And then I come across with this. How are they going to believe me? And what is the solution?
Were you also aware that many other people were also discovering and learning and hearing about this information, did you see that there was a growing movement of awakening people?
Yeah, those are some of the people that I've trusted this information with now. Because they were just good people wanting to make this earth better. And when you have that, you can't corrupt that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, indeed, indeed. Okay, so now that you can see it from your bigger perspective and understand why all of these crimes against humanity had to happen to be able to help awaken, what would you like humanity to know now?
Question everything, connect with your team, stay true to yourself. Don't let anybody tell you how to think. We were all brought on this earth with a team and a knowing, an inner guiding light of to listen to. Don't numb it out, man. Stay connected. You all know there's good in you. Stay connected to that goodness and keep reaching for a higher goodness. And don't take anybody's shit that wants to tell you what to do.
Well, I feel like that's motivational. I love that. Yeah, it's these lives are just games, and we're supposed to just help awaken everyone to the fact that this is merely a game. In terms of you moving forward um, after everyone is awoken and the shift occurs, what are your plans to do after that?
I'm going to go back to source for a while, get a little I a little bit of erasure, if you will, of some of this stuff that happened. And then I'm going to decide from there. I may try out the new earth for a while, come see you guys, come do a little victory lap, come party with you guys, however we party, whatever. And then I may move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I can't even comprehend what it would look like to even see all the information that you were privy to, and then feel so disempowered not being able to share it. I could imagine you wanting to scream this out to the world, but also processing this and to feel that you were not surrounded with people who would believe in you. That must have been so isolating. So I am sorry.
Well, I appreciate that, but I mean, it all served a purpose, right? And people weren't really ready for it anyways. I mean, people would have, I mean, there would have been mass chaos. So just look at it from the bigger picture. It played out the way it was supposed to. And I am really proud of myself for what I've done and in the fact of gaining all that information. And that's why it's so important to me for now to see this through and do right where I did wrong. So I really do love other humanity. I really do love other people. And man, my heart goes out to you guys right now.
Well, thank you. We're going to be okay, and we are grateful for the information that's going to finally come out. So we are appreciative of this, and we feel and understand that now that we're in a new timeline, you are quite a pivotal person and information wise to be able to help awaken humanity. I get a sense that this may not have occurred and been released as it will be in a different other timeline. So
Yeah,
actually,
if you could think of it, I was the old timeline's dead man switch.
yeah. I kind of feel like potentially we had an older timeline where we did hear your information and it was just too much. So I feel like we're in this new timeline that's going to be a little bit more softer to the egos of people who are still wanting to be asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm making sure that's all protected.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I really appreciate it. And I hope you don't mind that I've been calling you the antivirus guy.
No, I'm just glad you're calling me in. Call me what you want. Just call me in.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Is the information that you've also collected to show us that the current virus is something else than what we have been heard in the media?
Well, you have somewhat, depends on what media you tune into, but you have somewhat heard that it is something else, and that something else is poisoning of humanity, poisoning through all elements. So it's not cold, it's poisoning. So you will get that information as to the details. That's all a part of that. I have all their details. I have all their records.
Yeah. And do you get a sense of how long it's going to be until your information is shared publicly through the old mainstream media?
So they're all scratching their heads right now, wondering what the heck they're going to do with this information. I'm showing Carrie that we're looking at anywhere from now to 2 weeks.
Are they allowed to share it, or is it going to be they don't know that they're? I mean, you would think that if they were still had integrity as journalists, so they would want to break this story as fast as possible.
They want to break the story because they know that their grassroots movement's like not going to wait for them. So they're given an opportunity. Are you guys going to come out the good guys right now, mainstream media? Or are you going to like still keep your head in the sand, pretend that we're still playing the same game? Because it's not the same game. I brought the checkmate. And so they have an opportunity of whether, I mean, you've seen those old trials. You've seen the old, the trials from World War II. Anybody who participated and chose not to stand out and to use their power for good, there was no holding back. It was between the doctors, the nurses, the media, everybody. So they're given an opportunity right now. Which one are you playing with?
And you are right. Everyone in some degree has accidentally been part of the crimes against humanity and this planet. But it is the responsibility of those to stand up and be responsible for their actions and share the truth, knowing that there is more to life than most people are allowed to know, and that there is reincarnation, and that everything is really important to be understood now at this important time before we shift.
Can you repeat that?
It wasn't a question. It was just hoping that people would feel more inspired to realize that they can be accountable for the information. We are all part of the problem from one degree or another, and this is time for us all to be the solutions.
Yes. And that's every opportunity you have, every question, everything that you question, you have an opportunity to question it, and you have an opportunity to make a different choice.
Thank you. Is there any other messages you'd like to share with us before we recede you to wherever you are currently residing?
No, just I appreciate the chat, and every time you feel me tugging at you, it is me. You can always welcome me in, or if you need me to step back, let me know. I'll step back, but I won't step back for too long.
It's cool. You're more than welcome to. And I do want to get this information out as much as possible, because we can help open up people's minds and hearts to this information, embrace themselves, to be able to see it from the bigger perspective and not go into that disempowerment of feeling victimized by the systems, because that is not an emotion that serves us.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you very much, John. We appreciate having this chat. So we'll ask you to recede to where you belong, with much love and appreciation for the information you have provided for us.